Welcome to the Slocan Valley, a place rich with art, natural beauty, and alternative thought. It is a mixing pot for beliefs, orientations, peoples, and maybe even intergalactic visitors. Aliens? Extraterrestrials have long been an object of pursuit, both in the Slocan Valley and globally, much sought after and rarely found. It may never be known if aliens frequent these skies in any tangible sense, but it is true that their mysterious presence has been felt by many, changing lives in a very real way.
Prior to the story I'm about to tell you, I would have said I was a classic non-believer.
Different people have different views on extraterrestrials and their appearance on this Earth, but the same questions keep arising. Have aliens visited us? Not just on this planet, but here in our very own backyards? Here in the Slocan Valley, there is an eclectic mashup of different people with wholly different views on the universe. This mashup of alternative ideas is a result of the hippie movement of the 1960s. The stereotype was the tie-dye wearing, barefoot dancing hippie, but there were also draft dodgers and back-to-the-landers who came here during the 60s. These people roamed the coots, experiencing the music, the nature, and everything this place has to offer. So, could they have also experienced the contact of otherworldly beings? Whether they appear to people in a solid form, or as light or energy, or if they appear at all, is different between stories, but the big questions still remain. Have aliens visited the Kootenays? Do people here believe in aliens? And have they always?
I was that guy, thinking by now we should have pretty solid evidence. One day I'm taking my disposable garbage to the landfill in Castlegar with my daughter, and we were coming back from the landfill, and right at the top of the airport hill, and it was about 4 o'clock because it's really good daylight. So we're right at the top of the airport hill, and my daughter says to me, "Daddy, what is that?" I was confused and said, "What is what?" She said, "That." I kept pointing, and I said, "Sweetheart, I don't see anything. What are you looking at?" She said, "That in the sky, Daddy." My eyes felt like they focused on something finally in the sky. And I said, "Oh, that," because that was a shape. There was no other distinguishing features to it. Getting closer I get, the larger it's getting. The closer I got, the less features it had. I could see a shape, and it was just a general shape, and there was no blinky lights, there was nothing to it. In fact, at some point, I started to think I'm actually seeing kind of through it. It's like it had a shape like gelatin. My brain is kind of doing what your brain is doing, which is like, maybe you're not seeing anything, really.
We were looking at the sky in the Milky Way, and a craft came down. It was huge. It was as big as the backyard. It came down and down and down and down and down, and it was hovering over the trampoline. It's hovering over Appledale. Dad comes out and he's looking, and he's full of curiosity, and he's going, "Wow, look at it, and check out the light." Mom comes out and she starts screaming, and apparently they can pick up on your emotional condition. As soon as they detect it, they back right off. Boom, gone. I've got another story. We were looking at the sky, and a screaming fireball comes from the east, comes screaming over Appledale, screaming over Perry Ridge, and disappears into the black of the night. We ran in the house, we got out all the maps, we figured out the angles and everything else, and we figured it crashed somewhere up near the graphite mine. We're heading up the trail to the graphite mine, and we meet two cliff climbers. And they said, we climbed halfway down the cliff, and there's this metalloid stuff smeared right across the cliff, and there's pieces of it. And he reaches into his pack and he pulls it out like the size of a basketball, and he gives it to me in my hand. And the guy's amazed at how light it was, because it was lighter than a basketball, and it was metal with little honeycombs in it, like bee cells. I want to go back and see if I can find the cliff.
I haven't seen them that many times. I'd say, I think it's happened 3 times over the last 7 years. I don't necessarily think it was an alien. I just know it was like a unidentified flying object, and it moved in a way that made it seem like it was like conscious in some way, because it was sort of going back and forth, and then it would stop. And eventually, every time that I've seen them, they just sort of fade out. They just disappear. They don't like zoom off, they're just gone. I would imagine it as being like maybe a little bit formless, something that can travel in and out of physical reality and kind of like materialize and then unmaterialize. And it could probably shapeshift.
So, first of all, I don't describe them as aliens. I have seen mysterious, undefined by science, light ships or light beings in the astral heavens, in the stars, in the cosmos. It started as this orange light, so it was evening, it was nighttime, and we were sitting on this cliff overlooking the ocean, and the lights made these patterns. So it was like different colors of like, they weren't the same colors of the stars, but it was like a they were making these like almost like sacred geometric patterns. And there was, started with one, and it was almost like more stars coming out, but I was just seeing something for the first time, that there was something unfathomable happening in the sky. They're always there, but we don't always see them. And they were just revealing themselves to us in that moment so that we would remember that they were there. And it's true, so then I never saw them again until I moved to the Kootenays. About a year later, I moved to Nakusp. And I was down on the lake, I think it's Arrows Lake there, and we were building a medicine wheel to do a little ceremony, a prayer ceremony, and they came again. And it was the same thing. It was like this star that could move. And it wasn't moving like this. It was moving again in these patterns. It's almost like it was making this like multi-dimensional shape with lights. So those were the 2 times I saw that type of, I just call them light beings or light ships, but for me it was like communication from the astral world, reminding me as a human girl in human form on this earth that there is life beyond this planet.
Having the ETs come and go on this planet has been very enlightening. For instance, most recently I was experiencing a spaceship on Pow Pow Road in the Slocan Valley, and it woke me up about 3 a.m. and there was this beautiful orb shining into my living room window, and it was sparkling blue and white light. And as I woke up and was looking at it, I felt that I was in communication with the beings on this ship. I'd seen many ships before this time, so this was not unusual, but I heard them loudly and clearly say, "We are watching you." The next day, I had a Reiki class. Reiki is hands-on healing, and we're channeling universal energy at these classes. And suddenly, during this class, as I was facilitating a treatment for my student, I saw the Zeta Reticuli, the Greys, as we know as the Greys, ET, standing around my Reiki table and observing what we were doing. So what I saw the night before just totally made sense because, okay, they're watching. A few days after that, I was giving a session to another friend, and guess what? These particular beings and the Zeta Reticuli are very tall and skinny. They have these small heads and the big eyes and very interesting digits. They're not like ours, they're very different. And they were actually doing hands-on healing. I saw them with their hands on my student as well. So the ETs are observing us to see what we're doing here.
Flying lights, chevron-shaped jellies in the sky. These people have all had their own incredible experiences with extraterrestrial life. These stories all took place in the Kootenays, but aliens are an object of pursuit everywhere. Alien sightings are globally some of the most questioned phenomenons. There are multitudes of theories about them visiting us. History presents itself day by day as new things are brought to light. What if aliens have been here for centuries, and their history has simply been hidden in plain sight? What if we have seen them, but our minds just can't wrap around the concept of life on other worlds, so we forget, or ignore it? Whether or not extraterrestrials exist and have visited our planet remains up to those who choose to consider it.